do this. I don't know what I don't like about this. It's the level. How you guys doing out there? We're live.
What?
We're back. We're on, bro.
Oh shit.
We're live. How you guys doing? Peace.
Hold up. I gotta press send real quick.
I'm here with my buddy Glenn. We're gonna talk about some things. First, man, just catch up with me. Tell me some more about like the what I've been missing, bro. Like, let's start there, and then we'll move on to like more serious stuff.
Okay. First thing, don't ever let nobody tell you something is too fast. Because if it works, it works, and if it don't work, you can stop. So what I'm talking about is basically, man, I'm getting married this fall, right? To somebody that I met last summer. I mean, that's happening. I'm doing it. I don't care.
That's cool, man.
Everybody was like, "Hey, you crazy," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm grown." I mean, I evaluated the situation. It looked like it's gonna be okay. Other than that,
that's good, man. I'm happy for you, man. I kind of wish I was saying the same thing.
I guess more. Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say I was watching a video last night, and it was these women were saying that they didn't need to, have a man in their life to raise a child. Like they'd rather just go at it alone without.
You know what? That immediately evokes, like I don't get mad when I hear that women say, "Hey, man, screw it, I could do it myself." Because we're not all made the same. Like some women are built for it, but some people are just contrary. Like you're doing it as a reactionary thing. You's like, they didn't do what I wanted them to, or life ain't like I want it to be. So screw it. I'm not even gonna try to consider the future of my child. I'm just gonna do this like as a knee jerk. I mean, it's two classes of not only women. I mean, men are getting this opportunity as well. But I would say that it's not exclusive to either sex, that it's broken up into two kind of people. The kind of person who was like, look, I tried everything I couldn't make it work with this person, and I'm a viable human being by myself. So I'm gonna see if I can't get this rolling without them because they were dead weight. But then you got this whole other class of people that was like, they're not doing what I want. They're not doing like I say, and life ain't like I want it. So since I got this opportunity, I'm gonna just snatch the kids and bounce because I don't like what's happening, And so it just comes down to, did you do it out of self-preservation? Did you do it because you needed to for the future of yourself and your children, or did you do it because your preferences wasn't being met?
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, man or woman, that's the question you got to ask yourself. Right. Why are you splitting it up? If you got a good reason, split it up, blow it up, go do your thing. But if you're just being childish, I mean, you need to take a step back.
Right, because are you making a good decision for yourself and for your child's future? That's how I feel about it. I feel like they want to, they make their. I agree with you though. I completely agree with you. Sometimes because I didn't stay. I mean, like, staying for the kids is not always the best thing.
Right.
Just because y'all have kids together. But if y'all have a toxic relationship, then it's toxic for you, and it's toxic for the children too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, real talk.
Am I missing part of the screen?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Kinsey, let me see my phone. What happened, bro? Like I say, man, I'm about to get this real estate license, like for real. Like,
hey,
like in a week.
So I think that goes right. Like, if we wanted to pull a big topic out of that one, skills. Do you have any? Because we got companies deciding right now whether or not they want to buy a machine or pay your ass $15 an hour.
That's scary.
It's not scary. I mean, like, well, okay,
maybe for a lot of people it is.
Maybe it is scary, but that's like sitting on the beach during a tsunami. I mean, yeah, that's scary. But you only got one choice. Get your ass up off the beach.
Yeah, swim.
I mean,
Swim.
yeah.
Hopefully you know how to swim.
No. See, I'm glad you said that. Swim. No, swim. No, swimming is staying in these jobs that don't want to pay you nothing and aren't teaching you anything.
Yeah.
Swimming in the face of a tsunami is, staying somewhere that's like, here's a question. Here's a question for everybody watching this right now. The job you got right now, can you put it on a resume to get another one? If the answer is no, get you another job. I don't care.
Yeah.
So swimming in a tsunami is sitting there like you work wherever you work. I don't care where you work. If you can't put that on a resume and go get another one, you swimming. You swimming in a tsunami. And getting up off the beach, man, I don't care how much beans and rice you got to eat. Spend your extra money getting a trade. Because those jobs, the ones where you have to have a certificate this, certificate that, whatever. I mean, it's on the internet. It's on the internet how many of those jobs are needed. If you think you can do it and they need plenty of those people, go get that certificate and get that job. Because nobody's going to care what color you are if you're broke. You going under.
It's the only color.
You going under.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap for that. I mean, like,
and if Corona didn't tell anybody nothing, that it should have told everybody you need to get your shit together now.
Yeah. Hey,
ASAP.
I was telling a dear close relative, like, today is lost, but tomorrow is up to you.
Yeah.
If you ass out right now, don't be mad. That's 8 out of 10 of us.
But you can make something happen to change.
Yeah. That. I mean, and you do. I mean, people. Okay, so that goes straight into like people talk about race relations and racism and yada yada whatever. We'll get into that a little deeper later. But as for right now, I would like people to understand that the way the world is and the way the world should be, it's not your concern. Shoulda, coulda, woulda ain't putting money in nobody's pocket. And I mean, it's ugly. It's ugly to say it, but it's the only truth out there right now. Get you some money, and keep it. That's it. Save it.
Use it wisely. Make sure it's making you money too.
Well, because I mean, that's the weird part about it. Because people talk about handouts. They talk about like I'm not one way or another, man. Honestly, okay, let me just lay that out there. I'm a fiscally conservative person that also believes that healthcare and food should be free. I mean, we live in a rich ass country. Like
all the money the taxes,
bro, peanut butter, government cheese, tortillas. You should be able to just go get that shit. If you want better food, buy it. But if you just need some food, you should just be able to go get it.
Nobody should be starving.
No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, nobody should be starving in this country.
And I'm willing to bet that rich people will go get the beans and tortillas too.
I mean that's what I'm trying to say.
They probably would use it more than poor people actually, because that's the difference between people with money and people without. Is people with money learn how to live without spending a lot.
Yeah.
And poor people spend. And that's what I was talking about in the other video, like telling people to try to go days without spending any money, like 5 days or however long you can go without spending like a dime. And then, because you're on grind mode, you're making money right now. That's what I was saying. Like, you go into grind mode and you making money. And while I'm making money, I don't want to be spending it. You know what I'm saying? And try to go as long as I can without spending it. Just because it don't even matter how much money I have. Just it's like an exercise that I do. You know what I'm saying? And it, like I say, what I know about rubbing shoulders, I ain't never been rich, but rubbing shoulders with people with money, they don't spend money like we do.
But that also goes into the fact that they don't have to a lot of the time.
Yeah, they do have advantages that comes to that.
I mean, it's like
a lot of that shit is free.
It's like gravity. I mean, you can't feel the gravity of a basketball in your hand. I mean, I mean, it's pulling on you, but it's pulling on you so weak that you can't feel it. But the moon, it's got enough gravity to pull the sea feet out of itself. The sea just gonna come up because the moon has gravity. Man, money is the exact same way.
Yeah.
Like if you got very little, fuck it. I mean, that you can do with that. If you got some, you kind of see the metal shavings under your little grip, and then if you behave yourself with that some, then you get a lot, and after that it gets easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
like
that's what I say too. And the system is, but part of that is not just gravity. Part of that is held up by the system because you know how hard it is for, like I was talking about how hard it is. Like let's say, you know, a lot of people live on the edge, right? Like they're just living check to check. Something happens, they end up homeless. It's so hard to get from, if you fall that far, it's so hard to, you know, move back up. You get what I'm saying?
Honestly, that ain't even that. Yes, you absolutely right. It's hard to get back up once you fall so far, but homelessness is not the break point. Like that's what people need to realize. By the time you live in check to check, you've fallen that far. By the time you check to check, you've fallen that far. And I am not gonna lie to you, I'm check to check. I know how far I got to go, and my paycheck is not. I would say I have, for my strata of the society that I live in, I'm an hourly employee. You know what I mean? I don't have a title. I don't have a salary. For my strata, my paychecks are moderate, but I still run out payday to payday. And and there's, when you're paycheck to paycheck, you are a couple of mistakes away from being homeless. So why are we looking at that like it's night and day? It's literally the same situation, except you pay rent every month, you know, so that you have a roof over your head. Yes. You are far more comfortable than a homeless person, but you're not that much more secure than a homeless person. The only difference is a homeless person ain't got a home to lose. It's really the only difference.
It's so scary, man.
I mean, yeah, go ahead and fuck up.
Well, that's a good way to roll into the subject that I did want to talk about was real estate nowadays, like the housing market and how you got BlackRock and all these people coming in buying the homes and apartment buildings. You know what's happening, right? Like let's say a person is selling a house at $250.
BlackRock, that's a capital firm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say a person, you're selling your house at $250, right? And you know, you got regular buyers like me who wants to buy a home, and we got to go get a loan and try to pay for that $250, right? So, but then you got these investment firms who come in and they're like, we'll pay $300 and we'll pay cash right now. You don't have to go through the bank or nothing. It's over. Boom. You know what I'm saying? And so the regular people cannot compete with that. So what's happening all across this nation is freaking they're buying up the houses and they're turning everybody into renters because you can't compete with somebody who has $300,000. A regular person can't compete with that.
No. Well, I mean, that was gonna happen. Okay, so
we're turning into a nation of renters. So it looks like it'll get to a point where we won't even be able to buy homes. We're gonna, like they say, we're gonna own nothing and we're gonna love it. However that saying go. What do you think about that?
That's,
let me fix this light.
Let's just go ahead and talk about this real quick. There's a lot of things on the news. There's a lot of things that the media is talking. There's a lot of things that the left want to talk about. A lot of things the right want to talk about. I'm gonna talk about all of that in one thing. We can get into details, but I'm gonna sledgehammer that shit real quick. The only thing that matters is how you pay your mortgage and what you're gonna do with your kids. Period. And if you don't have a mortgage, get you a mortgage, because they're not gonna be nice with any of the utilities and the way things are going. A roof over your head is about to become a utility. Like, they're gonna come and cut your roof off, like they used to cut the lights off, like they used to cut the gas off. They're gonna cut your roof off.
Well, be careful with the speculation, because that's what got me in trouble, man.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. That was. I mean, I speculate that that's. And I mean, like, okay, so let's real estate, right?
Yeah. So talk about that. The housing market,
man. Okay. First of all, the housing market. We spend a lot of time sympathizing with people who've been done wrong, right? And I think it's important to just make sure you're not one of those people. I think it's important to not personify, to not spiritually sign in. I mean, because Lord says you can be forgiven. And if you stole bread to feed your family, then I mean, hey, pray to the Lord. And here's why I bring that up. Because what we're about to do is we're about to chip together a few $1,000s. We're about to borrow. I don't know, man. Go ahead and take out that payday loan. Get you like 6 or 7 grand together and buy one of these foreclosures that's about to come up. Because Biden said, hey, I don't know if I'm reinstate this whole rent amnesty thing. People about to be out on their butts.
It probably is. And it is an opportunity for everything is that's how I look at life. And like, I don't know, I think it was in 48 Laws of Power or something where they was talking about how like in every circumstance there's a opportunity. Like, how does it go?
Man,
when it's a negative situation, there's opportunity, basically. Like
in every disaster, there's somebody that comes out on top.
Something like that.
I mean, 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what? Real quick, 48 Laws of Power, that's 48 bitch-made ass ways to get ahead. I hate that book.
It is and slimy because I was talking to my son about it because he got really into it and I wasn't really into it, but I was telling him like there's a lot of good information in there, but don't take that as your philosophy on life because if you do, then you're gonna be a slimy ass person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you read 48 Laws of Power, read it as the snake moves. People gonna try to pull on you. Don't become that snake. Don't do that. Just like
because that's what that big book is gonna turn you into.
Learn your kung fu and stop the snake.
But the information is valid, and I really love the way he used the historical context to explain, how people behave. You know what I'm saying? Like he used those historical as like accounts and shit. Yeah. And like some of that stuff I didn't even know.
So one of the things I loved about that book, though, because I definitely read it. One thing I loved about that book was how he was like, here's the rule. Here's somebody shining with that rule. And here's somebody completely failing. Here's somebody that didn't even see this rule coming. What you got to read 48 Laws of Power. And you got to be the person that doesn't shine with the rule. But you know the rule. And you don't be that dumbass that fails because the rule bit you in the butt. I think I don't even remember a lot of the rules, but the one that I remember really well because I thought to myself, well, no, this can be applied both ways. And I think it's rule number 1, don't outshine the master, right? Like, don't be better than the person signing your paycheck. You can't do that, but you can. You just can't show them that you're better than them.
Right.
It's like there's wiggle room. And I don't know. You can see it coming. You can see it coming a mile away if you study.
And that's what I be saying in my videos all the time. I be telling people to know their history because things will fall in your lap. And also pay attention to what's happening around the world because it's all connected. The shit that's in Haiti, what'd you think about that? Haiti, Cuba,
right now. What did they do?
Man,
you about to educate me.
Oh man, it's so much going on, bro. Haiti's president got assassinated not that long ago. It's something in my eye. I might end up having this. I don't know where my fucking fucking shit is at, my contact. But anyways, Haiti's president got assassinated. You didn't hear about that?
I don't listen. I don't watch the news.
I avoid the news, but I watch international news, like, you know what I'm saying? And I watch political news.
Hey, you know what? I'll just bust a freestyle real quick, and you go ahead and take care of your eye, man. Because I really want to get into it. Like, you telling me that they assassinated somebody in the last 30 years?
Nigga, this happened like it's been about a month. And the last time the Haitian president was assassinated was like it's been like 100 years. And so it's kind of like a big deal. It really is. Freaking the shit in Cuba, the rioting in Cuba, and they haven't rioted in Cuba in like 100 years. And they're pissed off over there.
Man, you know what? I straight up forgot Castro was dead about a month ago because I was talking to somebody like he was still alive, and it was kind of embarrassing. But yeah, well, because they was talking about the authoritarian regimes, right, and how they were falling off one by one, and I was like, well, the only ones that they've mentioned are the ones that nobody's happy with,
That's political all day. That's what they make. They create villains. And that's what I be saying. They create villains, they create superheroes, and in real life, there's no such thing really. You know what I mean? There kind of is, but people are good and bad. You can't, like Trump. What did you think about Trump?
That's a long story, man.
Go ahead.
On the surface, I really feel like, okay, at first I was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to this country. But then I started to realize, well, I mean, other than, they kept trying to say he was a racist, and he is, but he didn't have any racist policy. He's just an old ass white man that's racist. He didn't do any laws like that. Okay, the DACA thing. The DACA thing was the only clearly racist thing that he did, but I'm sure that they gave him some numbers and statistics that allowed him to excuse himself statistically and economically from it. But that was a very racist thing, Mr. Trump. But on the whole, here's the thing. You call me a racial slur, that's not going to stop me. But if you keep putting the father figures in my community in prison, and you keep failing to sell us houses when we got the money, then that's a problem.
Right.
So Donald Trump is like, he's a really interesting figure to me.
He's interesting
because he definitely did that the discrimination of real estate. He definitely did that. But you know what he also did? He started shutting down private prisons, like they're like the federal private prisons. He was like, no, this is not a good idea. And he did prison reform, but he also doesn't like selling black people houses. I don't know where to put the guy.
But that's my point. That's the reason why I brought him up, because I always say how did I say it? He's a bad good guy, or he's a good bad guy, because like there's some stuff that was real, like as far as the infrastructure of the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex. They were pushing against him, and he was literally pushing back on them.
There is one thing, and there only one thing. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I love Trump.
The state, CIA, there was one. He was pushing against them. They don't like him at all.
Really liked about him. One thing. Out of all of the things that I'm still confused about, and most of the things that I'm absolutely certain I don't like about him, there was one thing I loved about him. He would not get off of China's ass.
And you know what?
He would not let him
He
slip.
actually brought that to the stage. And a lot of that stuff Biden has been continuing. A lot of people don't realize.
Think about it.
Those policies that he implemented towards China, pretty much all of them have continued under Biden, because they actually were kind of good policies. The thing is, we don't manufacture shit here.
Yeah, let me tell you something a little worse than the manufacturing deficit, because they got cheap labor. I mean, think about it. Hold on. Real quick. Okay. The reason the South, like they say that it wasn't about the liberation of black people, it was about the economy and cheap labor. Well, I mean, that's a very real aspect of that dispute. China can force people to work for pennies. I mean, yeah, it's not slavery per se, but we gotta spend $15 an hour for everything we do that's worth anything. They spend 15 cents. They got cheap labor.
That ain't no excuse to not manufacture. We could be manufacturing. We used to be a manufacturing country.
I'm not saying it's an excuse not to manufacture. I'm saying that I digress. What I really wanted to say about China, we have entered into these trade agreements, and the trade agreements are largely concerned with pollution and greenhouse gases. And trust me, I'm not a climate denier, but you got to understand, these trade deals and the climate accords that we're entering into with the rest of the world, they ask us to assume this responsibility that by and large we've already assumed. China is a country, let's see, there's 350 million people here, right? There's 1 billion people over there. China is a country that's 3 times our size, and they're burning coal like it's still the 70s. China's the reason global warming is happening, bro. For real. I mean, but when we do these global things and we say, hey man, we really need to help the environment, China tells the whole world to go screw itself every time.
Well,
China takes like okay, so like how some people they broke and they hard on their luck and they go get the WIC for their kids and they go get the food stamps, right? Because they're in a compromised position and they can't really compete. China, Brazil, and India are huge economies.
Yep.
They are making money,
yep.
and they are still taking advantage of the world's of the world's good faith. Like China, Brazil, and India are still behaving like they're second world countries, but at this point, they've gotten so much help, or they have made so much money. Brazil is rich.
I would disagree with you on that because you can't put those three countries in the same boat because Brazil is an African Afro country. Those are mostly black folks, really they are, and freaking. And so their whole
hold on, wait a minute.
Situation is different.
What is that?
Well, the thing is,
what does that have to do with their behavior?
Because they were colonized, and also they barely got their freaking liberation not that long ago. They still fighting against like what do you call it? When you're trying to build your democracy and you end up falling back and forth between like totalitarianism and democracy and then back and forth. You get what I'm saying? They are like babies as far as that's concerned. India is different, and like they were colonized too, but like India, I would agree. But what you were saying about
colonizing, is the colonization present now?
Well, the effects of it is present now because it's post-colonialism. They are still in post-colonialism.
How?
Because they haven't moved to the next stage.
They haven't moved to the next stage, right? Which I admit takes time, but not this much time once you recognize the problem.
I agree with a lot of what you said about China, but I think the reason why the United States hates China so much is because China is a lot like us. They want to be a bully. They want to be like, we're going to do what we want to do, and that's it. Like, fuck what you got to say. How y'all going to come over here and blow our shit up then? I bet you want to try to do that. That's China's attitude. And it's like, we're going to bully this shit. And they're going to bully the economy. They're going to bully tech. You know what I'm saying? That's what Trump didn't like because Trump is a bully. So, and he could pick out a bully right off the top. China's a bully. What the fuck? They bullying us? Me? The United States? Hell no. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he was on. So that's what I think the reason why China is. But what he still is saying is valid. But what I'm saying is the reason why they hate or have a problem with them is because they want to be like us. And then it's kind of like Russia. So the Cold War, the new Cold War is us and China.
Nah, and it's not even a Cold War. It's an economic war.
Right. It's not weapons. Yeah, it's not.
Well, I mean, okay, so
it's not explosions. It's not nuclear. No, but it's still a Cold War because it's economic. Like you say, they fight on the tech area, or they fight on the pharmaceutical like health area. You get what I'm saying?
No, China's attack on the rest of the world actually is twofold, and it's something that like I'm 40-something years old. When I was in college, they already knew what China was doing, which is purposefully undervaluing their currency so that they can sell their goods cheaper,
right?
Which they are already making at bottom basement prices because their labor is damn near free.
Right. That's an economic. What do you call it? That's like
listen, man. Hold on. I mean, I don't even think this is a change of subject. Put a pin in that. But okay, I'm glad I get to talk about this because there's a lot of issues right now, but there's one issue that I really, really feel strongly about. And Democrat, Republican, first of all, I don't even think it's been a difference. I think it was April. It could have been August, but I know it was 1971. Nixon went over to China and was like, I'm going to open trade to the East. I'm going to get them guys to trade with us. We're going to do goods and we're going to trade and it's going to be good for the American people. And he went over there talking all that crap. He came back and told the American people with a straight face, hey, y'all's money, it doesn't mean gold anymore. It's just going to be, it's not gold, it's paper. And everybody just ate that like it was a great idea.
That's a big deal, man.
And You can track it. I don't care where you look. This is a fact that is unanimous. There is very little dissension. You can look on YouTube, you can look on Twitter, you can look on Wikipedia. Since Nixon did that in 1971, profits for corporations have gone like this, and wages for us have gone like this.
Flat. And
there's not a single other issue in this country we should even be concerned about.
Man, I posted it on Instagram. I posted the minimum wage.
Everything since 1971 has been a distraction. The war on drugs, the war on crime, black people dying in the streets because cops keep killing them. Look, real quick, y'all not gonna like this, but cops actually do kill more white people. But you know what else you're not gonna do? You only 1 in 10 people in this country is black anyway. Of course they kill more white people. It's more white people. That's a distraction. Now, I'm not one of these like jerks that say it's not racism, but the real racism is when the judge give this white dude 3 years probation and give this mother of 3 2 years in prison for the same crime. I mean, the judges are racist as hell. And
when they redline the communities and let you not be able to buy a house.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not racism out there, but I'm saying somebody call you the N-word, man. That's not supposed to stop you. You know? Yeah. I mean, it's real ugly. It's real ugly. I don't know.
Talk about the politics, because I saw you post something recently. I think it was on Instagram about something having to do with politics really recently, like yesterday.
Oh man, well, I was gonna do a little news show of my own, but I was gonna make sure that I included every time, like no matter how I felt about the issue, I wanted to include the issue, a breakdown of the issue, what the left is telling you.
Well, give them a preview then. What you know. If you did a new show, how like what you have prepped up?
Well, I mean, yeah, one of my first things would be like, okay, like let's go right to it. Let's go to George Floyd real quick. And the issue was they killed this man in the streets. A breakdown of the issue was it was 3 cops there. One of them had his knee in the man's back. He choked to death. It took 10 minutes for this man to choke to death. Okay. And everybody just stood by and watched, and we got camera footage of it all. Okay. Well, what the left is going to tell you is that, well, it's racist cops and they need to be stopped. But what the left won't fail to ask, what the left will also fail to ask is, how many people have they choked out? And I'm not even going to go to try to assuage the racism of it. We'll go right into that same direction. Not only was that not the first man that they choked to death, not only does it take at least 6 minutes to choke somebody to death, not only is this something that happens with a regularity, but they tried to make that like it was something that was new. Like this was the crossing point. No, they've been choking black people out in the streets a long time. And they've been getting footage of it a long time. Why is Amazon speaking on it now? Why are we getting murals in the streets right now? What made that different than Philando Castile?
I did a video where I said, so I don't like the statue, the George Floyd statue. I think it's a horrible idea. Well, they should take it down.
So those would be the questions that the left is failing to ask, right? But then you would go with, well, what's the right going to say about it? Well, the right's going to say that he should have obeyed the law. But what the right would fail to ask is, what happens to other people when they fail to obey the law? And the answer to both is, well, what the left failed to ask was, why are these companies concerned about George Floyd when they weren't concerned about Jose Campos Torres? You know, because it's an election year, because people have money now, because they're spending. It was a corporate cash grab. Now, what the right failed to ask was, well, what happens when a white dude fails to obey the law? he gets a slap on the wrist and he walks his ass to jail. George Floyd didn't get that chance. So there's the whole thing. There's the whole thing just opened up. I mean, like I'm in the middle. I mean, you can see me. You know what I mean? We don't have to pretend like.
And I think most of the country is that, and they sensationalize everything, and then you got to choose a side, and you're like, oh, I'm left, or oh, I'm right, or oh, I'm liberal, or oh, I'm whatever, Democrat, Republican, whatever. Like,
see that? Yeah, that'll take it back to what I said before. I'm a fiscal conservative. I want the government to be smaller. I want it to be smaller. I think there takes less people than who we have hired to do the job to be done. I think the government should spend less money. But I also think that the money that they are spending, they could spend on our health care, and they could give people bread. They could give it to them.
And it wouldn't even, the amount it would cost would be the amount that they spend on paper clips at the Pentagon. It's so crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, like people hear that word conservative and they don't understand, or they hear liberal and they don't understand.
Explain.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't even know what a liberal really is. I kind of know what a progressive is. I just know what I want. You know what I mean? Let's move into social issues real quick. I don't think you have to normalize something to remove the stigma from it. Like, yeah, don't kill a gay person because they gay, but that gay dude is still weird. He don't deserve to die. Don't beat him up. Don't make him feel bad for being gay. But when your son asks, why is he doing that? Why is he kissing that dude in public? Be like, because he's gay. It's weird.
I get what you're saying. But it's what they do is they.
That was a sharp left, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was hard. I can't condone that. I don't know if I condone all that what he said. But what they do, that's an example of what they do though. They weaponize social as like subjects, right? They weaponize them to make you emotional, sensationalize you, and then, like I say again, it makes you choose a side. Like immediately, what you said, a lot of people gonna have to pick a side on it. You know what I'm saying? And that is what happens, and that's how they divide us, and that's how we keep missing that really we agree more than we disagree. But they put those social, abortion. Forever, abortion is gonna be a touchy fucking subject.
Man, first of all, just to let y'all know,
it'll never be cleared up.
Weird is something I celebrate. I'm weird as hell. I'm black and Mexican. Left-handed. Socially awkward. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not saying weird is a bad thing. Like I'm
definitely weird. I call myself weird all the time.
Yeah, I'm not saying weird is a bad thing. And I hope that translates to me saying that homosexuality is a little weird. I need y'all to understand that I identify with weird. That's what I need y'all. As you hear me say that, I identify as weird.
And that's what I do too. Cause with the stuff I be saying, a lot of times people like take offense to it. And I whenever I talk about humans, I'm including myself. You know what I mean? Every time I talk about people or whatever, I'm including myself. I'm a human, and I fall for the same trappings that anybody else does. Being sensationalized by this shit, by some kind of issue like abortion or whatever, gay rights or Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think anytime that something has gotten the attention of the political powers that be, then it's been co-opted by some power struggle that it probably doesn't belong to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that violence against people who are not, part of the status quo, there should be it's under no circumstances okay. But beyond legislation that tries to deter people, like I'm overjoyed that it's a hate crime. I'm overjoyed that you can get federal time for smacking somebody that's of one of these protected classes. But do we need to fight to make sure they get a job right alongside? I mean, actually, you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the affirmative action in employment, right? Everybody's ears slap shut when you say systemic racism, but that is the thing that is preventing something that I believe should happen from happening. Every time I say it out loud, I kick my own ass because I understand that the building blocks for it have been systematically removed from my people. Like, because I would say, in a perfect world, I would say, hey man, we've known that it was like this for generations. Why don't you stack you some chips, get you a business, and then hire you some black people? But I can't say that. I can't say that because when we stack our chips, they get knocked out from under us. Like, listen, one thing I learned, I forget if it was John Oliver or Some More News, but there's a channel you should both check out. I know you know John Oliver. Some More News. If you don't know about that channel, know about it. But I forget which one it was, but they were saying that they're like home ownership, it's been in the legislation. Like, you couldn't sell a black person a house.
Yeah, it was in there.
You couldn't do it.
The redlining.
But I don't think people know how.
They don't understand.
Oh, so that's what you mean by redlining?
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. How they did it was they drew up the maps, right? And they made certain areas for investment and some that wasn't. And the ones that were for investment just so happened to be black and Hispanic areas, and the areas that were for investment just so happened to be white. And they actually drew the lines on the map. And so when the bank, if you go to the bank for a loan and you are trying to get some investment money for this particular area, they're going to refuse it. So that means every black person that went for a loan didn't get it.
See there? So the thing I'd like to add to that is, I mean,
that's actual history fact, bro. That's why I study this shit. So y'all look it up.
I don't even have anything to say to that. I mean,
that's what
I'll tell you what
about
reparations.
Reparations is a good answer to that, because that's the argument for reparations, because it's like, the money, it's not just slavery. You know what I mean? You got Jim Crow laws, and you got and it's been economic.
Here's what I'd like to offer.
The lynchings were people, business owners, leaders in the black community.
Man, there are entire black communities. Okay, so like I think Reconstruction is a chapter of history. I'm not going to it right now.
That's a big one.
There's huge.
There's
books on it. If you really give a damn, go read one of those books.
That's a good.
They have torn that whole thing wide open,
because I feel like Reconstruction didn't finish. It just stopped, and that was when it should have happened. That's when reparations.
We ain't even going to talk about it. You can read about it. You can read about it, because it's not just revisionist history no more. There are the Reconstruction and how that put a kibosh on everything about black people getting ahead.
It was an ultimate failure.
Look at the weirdest thing that I learned about Reconstruction is that black people were actually on their way already. Exactly. They were on their way, and white people were like
nothing.
White
people would have just left them alone.
Yeah,
if they would have just left, we would have schools and everything right now.
Yeah,
big ass institutions we would have right now.
So, listen, but okay, but the way the world should be and the way the world is, right? So, what I think is interesting, one excuse I'll give my people is that, like I was saying earlier, like living paycheck to paycheck is just one step away from being homeless, and breaking out of that is very, very difficult. But we're at least 3 generations into knowing how difficult it is to break out of that. So, I mean, I don't know about the average person. I don't know about y'all. I know about me. And I'm not going to feed my son to that same machine. I'm going to eat beans and rice. I'm going to stack my little bitty ass paychecks, and I'm not going to wait for Joe Biden to give me money.
Yeah. If you wait for you're going to be starving.
I'm not going to do it. I mean, do what you want to.
And that's what I say.
Go wave your
money.
Go wave your sign in the street.
Don't spend it.
Matter of fact,
we spend it on trash. We spend the money on trash. We go to the bar.
We didn't get to finish reparations though. Here's what I think should happen. as far as reparations. I don't know how you would finance the transferal of the property. And I know that, well, I've seen enough to know that it probably would just get bogged down in Congress and it would never happen.
Yeah.
One thing
It's
that
already been.
one thing that I think could generate enough political pressure to actually happen. You know how, like, if you're Native American, like, all you have to do is prove that you got a little bit of that blood, right? And then you get those benefits. If you can prove that you're black, you get to go to school for free. You get to go to school for free, and you get to pick your school.
Yeah, stuff like that is great.
That's. I think, honestly, if they did that, I would forget about reparations.
Well, I don't know that would be enough, because a lot of people will argue that wouldn't go far enough, because what about the rest of the people who've already gotten educations and stuff like that?
It doesn't matter. You know how many of those are still having to pay for it, and
Exactly.
they're white too. It's millions of white people who will never get past their student loans. So yeah, if we got ours for free, if we got our education for free, yeah, that would do it for me. I'll be right back.
But like I say, man, I don't feel like that would finish. That would be enough. That wouldn't go far enough. It's way too much. Way too much. Everything is economic. You know what I'm saying? So you once you look at the whole subject, you realize that the economics is what matters. And economically, Black people have been deprived, over a long period of time, and basically held back. And in times like the Tulsa race riot and all of these different circumstances historically that you guys can look up, where you had prosperity, successful Black towns, and the whites would get jealous and they would come and they would destroy the town, man, and they would destroy the businesses. There was a story about, like, there's a lake. It's so much history that they have they've covered over like this. Like they killed these people in this town and ran them out, and then they flooded the area and made it into a lake. And the area had the houses and everything, that the whole town, the Black town, made it into a damn lake, and that's just one example of things that have happened. These that can be verified.
Forgive me, because I haven't checked on this since I heard about it being debunked. But do you know who Denmark Vesey is? Okay, first of all, like I said, I haven't checked on the sources that claim that this never happened, because I mean, there's divergent interests on it having happened and having never happened, but Denmark Vesey almost revolted. He led a slave revolt in Charleston, Carolina. And the reason it failed is because somebody betrayed him.
Usually what happens.
But actually, you know what? I apologize. I don't even remember what decade that happened. But
yeah, I don't recognize that.
Yeah, but Denmark Vesey, it's worth looking up. I mean, it's at the very least, it's interesting. It is interesting.
I think the politics is a good subject. And what do you think about Biden now?
That goes back to Nixon. I mean, if you ask me about any president since Nixon, I think the same thing. They're on one team. They're all doing the same thing. They're distracting us from the fact that our grandparents were able to buy a house for $20,000. They basically spit at a car and bought it, and we can't do that at all.
We're fucked.
Yeah. So yeah, Biden, Trump, Obama. I don't care who you pick. You could pick any of them since Nixon. It's been one thing, and it like it's been like alternating current versus DC current. They push us, pull us, push us, pull us, push us, pull us, push us, pull us, and it keeps this whole thing going. We get in debt, we pay ourselves out of debt, we get in debt, we pay ourselves out of debt. And they make us think that they care what color we are, but all they care is whether or not we figured it out enough to amass an amount of money that affects their bottom line.
That is the real truth. And in my videos, I say everything is economics, because if you look at it racially, you're going to be missing it. If you look at it economically, you're going to be able to see what's happening. Like they say, follow the money.
There's a history of race, and there's an identifiable reason that black people have. Bro, did you know that the median value of the white household is like over $100,000, and the median value of the black household is around $25,000?
It's not surprising. That is, again, like I say, Jim Crow. That's another argument for reparations.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But,
I mean, like, I learned this.
And people want to say that it's because black people, don't produce, but it's not true. You look at the history that they have been wiping away, you'll see that at every turn in this country, whenever black people try to get ahead, they freaking trip them up, man. It's a reality.
And it's the crazy part about it is that they don't do it to individuals like you think. They do it to trends. When it trends our way, no.
Yeah.
The whole government.
I think that's kind of what's happening right now. I think that's what's happening with January 6th. I think that white folks be walking around and then they hear rap music at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? And then they drive out of the grocery store. They see a bunch of Hispanics and, like, you know what I mean? They look, their daughters is dating black dudes and, like, watching them on TV, watching the rappers. They feel like they're losing the country. You know what I'm saying? This is white man's land. You know what I'm saying? This is white man's country. And it's like, that's why it's so crazy how you can feel so comfortable where everywhere you go, you want to hear country. Like, everywhere you go, the music that's playing should be music that you like. And if they're not playing the music you like, that's a freaking problem. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I've tried to stick to facts, but this is an opinion. This is an opinion, and it's wild conjecture. But I think that January the 6th was a manifestation of a part of racism that usually doesn't manifest itself. However, back to Trump, he fostered that, and he did it for the same reason that any politician did it. He knew his constituency and he pandered to them. He just didn't know they were that fucking stupid.
That they was gonna actually do it.
Yeah.
That'll probably be his defense if they ever, like. That's a pretty damn good defense.
Hey, does smoking on camera get us demonetized?
I'm trying not to smoke.
No, I was gonna ask you for a cigarette.
Oh no, I don't think so. It said doing illicit drugs. So cigarettes and alcohol is legal.
But no, I mean, I think that's a lot of it. I mean, I like to talk about, the details, but I also like to cut the fat, man. And everything that we talked about today, I feel like it's two things that I really want to tell anybody that actually listens to this video. Get you some land and keep you some money. They're not going to give a damn how you die.
But that goes to the argument with the with the investment course. The thing is, they like to they tell you to invest, right? And you will become a part of one of those firms as far as they'll be using your money to do this stuff. But you aren't really, like, what I like to say is, like, it's not really real, right? The money is like in that movie, it's a fugazi. You know what I mean? Like the stock market.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is something I learned a couple days ago. So you know how, like, they hide their money in offshore accounts? Dude, the whole stock market is an offshore account.
Yeah. And a lot of the money is not even really there. It's all just kind of like the numbers on the screen, because there's so many transactions flying back and forth.
Watch this.
So the money is not even there.
Watch this. There's only two things that decide a stock market's price. Now, there's a lot of corollary things that they speculate will make these two things move. But how many people are buying the stock? How many people are selling the stock? That's it. That's the only thing that decides the stock's price. Now, if the government prints a bunch of extra money and then Amazon blows up, people are going to be like, I think I'm gonna get some stocks.
Yeah.
And so
the value is based on.
So the value is based on how many people bought it. And if you give the average Joe a bunch more money and you tell him, hey man, you can't go nowhere. That was all of 2020. Here's some money. You can't go anywhere. I guess it's time to invest in the stock market. Listen,
exactly.
So check it out. Everybody's mad at Jeff Bezos, right?
And then the Bitcoin stuff has blown up a lot.
Jeff Bezos is worth $75 billion, right? $75 billion in stock. So the reason I said that the stock market is a big offshore account is because the reason he doesn't have to pay taxes on that $75 billion is because he hasn't sold it. He hasn't tried to get that $75 billion.
A lot of people don't understand that. And that's in the real estate. We was talking about that because
capital gains.
And they was talking about how rich people keep like their money without paying taxes at all. And that's the reason why I didn't understand this recently in the news. They were talking about the, what is it called? The death tax or whatever. What happens when you die and when you leave your inheritance to your children, and the tax that's associated with that. And that was really big in the news, in political news, not that long ago. Like, I don't know, I guess it was a law, maybe something, whatever. They were talking about it. And I didn't really understand that until I took this real estate class, because they talked about how, like,
I just remember you already sleeping back there.
They could dodge the taxes their whole life by not spending their money, because they take loans out on their money and they spend the loans, and that's how they never touch their money.
I never even thought about that.
They just go to the bank. The bank knows they verify, and then they give them whatever amount that they ask for, and then they pay the loans back. You know what I'm saying? Never touch their money, and that way they don't get taxed if they touch that money.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've stumbled upon the answer to every problem in this fucking country. The banks are corrupt. It's the banks. Nah, Billy Jack Joe can call me the N-word all day, but he's not running a bank.
Exactly.
And the bank is the guys that were saying, hey, man, this dollar that I have equals $9 I can loan.
Like, hey, man, let me hold your money for you, and then you pay me for that. And then meanwhile, while I'm holding it, I'm going to be flipping that money, but I'm charging you the whole time. And I'll give you a little bit, like a penny back a year, for if you don't move your money around too much and you keep a certain amount in your account. So, yeah. Meanwhile,
we had this whole conversation, dude. And if we're about solving problems, that's it. Take your money out of the bank. No, I'm telling you, like they talk about the 1%. Bro, the bank can't.
That'll crash the
They
bank.
say we all broke.
They
say we broke. They say we
crash.
broke. If
everybody did that, it will crash the economy.
You take your little $100. You take your little $1,200.
They don't have that money.
You take your little $500 out of the bank. It's not even there. They don't even have enough to pay us. They call us broke. They treat us like we broke. If we went and got our money, they couldn't pay us.
They couldn't give it to us. It's not even there.
Bro, we just got the video struck. That's what's gonna strike the video.
Hopefully not. But we can still talk about economics. It's like, what did you say at first? You said something really good. Damn it! I wish I could play it back.
What was it about?
I don't remember. It was about the banks, or before you said the banks. But anyways,
the stock market.
Yeah, that's what it was. The stock market.
Well,
and that's what I wanted to talk about, because
I forget what capital gains tax was, but when I learned about capital gains tax back in college, this is like 20 years ago, capital gains tax was like 30-something%. And Republicans, they typically want that to be lower. And honestly, Democrats want that to be lower too, because they're all rich as well. But they campaign on giving a damn about us.
Pretend.
They pretend. That, you know what? Honestly, like between the two, like I don't like either one of them.
Yeah.
But between the two, man, I mean, Republicans say I'm not gonna say they're honest, because they know you can't be like them. But what they offer is like, be like me, and all of these things will work. Whereas the Democrats are like, you're not like me. Let me help you.
Right. I need to babysit you. You're a little child. You don't even know how to,
but
you don't know what you're doing.
But again, they've been the exact same team They're good cop, bad cop since Nixon.
That's what I said.
They're good cop, bad cop,
Good cop,
since
bad cop.
Nixon. So,
But back to the stock market, man. That is important because what I'm saying is like you said, during the COVID, we was in the house, so we start investing in the stock market even more. But that's part of what they want to happen. You know what I'm saying? And it goes again with what I was saying about them buying the houses, bro. This is all a part of the whole thing because
if your money's in the stock market and not a bank, you can't hurt them.
Exactly.
Your money will disappear.
And then look, they own the house. You think you own you own a stock. They own your house. You paying rent. You're not buying your home because, like I say, they're buying out everybody.
That part right there.
They're competing the market.
That part right there.
They're competing with regular folks, and the regular folks don't have $300,000 to pay for a $250,000 house. They do, right there. And they're thinking about the money on the back end over the long term because they're gonna rent this house out for God knows forever. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They're gonna get their money back in 30, 50 years.
We just told you the problem. I'm gonna tell you the solution. Motherfuckers about to start losing their houses right now. They about to start right now, and it's gonna be like they're gonna suck up a bunch more of that capital.
I think this is a very
go get you one
story,
right now.
Man.
Go get you one right now. I don't care how much you gotta borrow. I don't care what the rate is. Get you some change in your account right now and make a down payment. And I don't care if it's in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
And credit is important, and all that shit is real, man.
Because somebody gonna rent it.
And if you got the cash, you can do it with cash. Y'all don't understand. I might do some stuff about real estate now that I realized I did some shit on Instagram and I realized I got a lot of impressions. So people like,
if you work at McDonald's and you own a house, the rent that the person living in that house pays you plus whatever little paychecks you get from McDonald's, that's an income. That's an income that can make something happen. So like I said earlier, like everybody without a skill, everybody's sitting swimming in the tsunami with their hourly jobs.
They need to buy something, own something, because they don't want anybody to own anything. They just want you to own cryptocurrency, stocks, all this imaginary ass fucking shit.
Cryptocurrency is not imaginary. I'm sorry. Cryptocurrency is not imaginary. Cryptocurrency is the counter to the stock market, and that's why the stock market hates it.
I do like the way it's set up with the separate, non-centralized, the memories, and these are just regular people that are maintaining the, and then it's all around the place, so you can't crash it and you can't hack it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I like that about it.
So, I mean, you can watch a video on how it works, but yeah, it's super stable, and I don't know how you would make it fake. I know I'm gonna go check on my boy real quick though.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is it's so imaginary because the value is not real. It's still imaginary money, just like the stocks, because tomorrow,
bro, money is imaginary.
It is. That is true.
Money is imaginary.
That's why they say currency, and then the value of it is based on what people believe, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Check this out. Even if you buy gold from a gold exchange, you got a fucking certificate that says you have gold.
They don't actually give it to you.
Yeah, man. What happened when you go try to get your gold?
They're probably gonna be like,
So I mean, I'm not trying to doom and gloom anybody, but this whole matrix that they're wrapping around us, it's pretty sturdy. It's pretty sturdy, man.
Damn, bro, that's really sad. That's so like dark. It's like Star Wars, and like, you know, they won. The bad guys won or whatever. Like Darth Vader wins at the end. He's like,
I mean, but I mean, here's another thing to that. I don't. What about? What? Pause.
Go ahead. Just keep talking. Because it's live.
Oh, man. Okay, well, they're mad at Bezos, right? Because he has lots of cash.
You already have AT&T?
No, we're good, bro.
You have a Xfinity?
Yep.
Was that with the internet cable or just the internet?
Everything.
We're on cable. They're trying to sell us
We're
cable.
good. It's cost too much, but I ain't gonna lie, but I'm good. Thank you. I do pay too much for Xfinity. Niggas robbing me.
Really? How much you pay?
I don't know, bro. Like the way I had it set up, it was supposed to be like $80 a month, but that's never the price. It's always over $100.
Man, we got it for 60 at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm getting robbed. That's what I say. I'm getting robbed. They say I go over my amount, but I thought I had unlimited. But then they still say I go over my data every time. That's why they charge me.
Just get on the phone with them and threaten to leave and say, "Look,
they ripping me off. I know they ripping me off."
And plus, you over here, man. You over here in a high density, like a high populated area. You could probably get like AT&T fiber. This is not a commercial. AT&T fiber is pretty good. It don't huff gigabytes like Xfinity do, but you wouldn't really notice. Like Xfinity.
That's what I be worried about because I be doing a bunch of shit, and all of us on the internet probably right now in the house. You know, they on the game. They liable to be on the internet. I'm on the internet right now. We be on the internet here, like but it's supposed to be unlimited.
Man, I'm gonna go outside and suck this thing down, dude. I'll be right back.
Smoke a cigarette.
Yo.
Yeah, I have. Kenzie, let me see my phone.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I think I have something. There's a segue.
Are you filming?
Yeah. I freaking hold on.
Everyone has a plumbus in their home. First, they take the
It's alive, so I can't pause it
The bunch of schleem.
because I'm just gonna
The
upload it.
schleem is then repurposed.
Explain to me what this is.
Oh, I can't play that stuff. Ooh, I gotta be careful. I forgot. They're gonna get me. All right, you guys. Posts I've liked. The internet going slow right now. Oh, that's right. He might play some music that I can't play. Damn it. I really like that stuff, though.
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African American.
I don't know if I should play that.
Joe Biden said that.
Yeah, Joe Biden said that, but that was a clip.
All right, let's give it up for the 300.
Huh? He said what? Yeah, right, exactly, because that was just a little clip, so. Fuck. I'm scared I can't play just anything.
So our executive director, Ronna Epton, was arrested for calling for free.
Oh, yeah, Sheila Jackson Lee got arrested. Where is that at? Hold on. I got that for y'all. Y'all don't know Sheila Jackson Lee got arrested? Hold on, let me play this. You know Sheila Jackson Lee got arrested, right?
What the fuck?
Can you see that shit? Happened just yesterday or day before yesterday. Hold on, I got it right here. Here it goes.
Door breaking
News, and we're following this from our nation's capital tonight. We now know Houston Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee was arrested during a demonstration in our nation's capital. The Congresswoman says that she was protesting election reform efforts in front of the Hart Senate office building when she was taken into custody.
Now, she just released this video on Twitter. Let's listen in.
I believe when you're getting into good trouble, when you realize that the 15th Amendment has guaranteed the fundamental right to vote, any action that is a peaceful action of civil disobedience is worthy and more.
We are working to learn more details about what exactly transpired at that march and how many people were arrested.
We're getting.
Why would oh, that's a bad move on the powers that be, man. I mean, that's a bad look. I mean, I could understand if they had wrapped her up in a scandal and was like, oh, she arrested on fraud or something, but they arrested her for protesting.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't have enough facts, man, but
Yeah.
I know that if that's the end of the story, they screwing up. I mean, if that's that, she was like, this is bull, and I'm not going for it, and I'm protesting, and then they slapped the cuffs on her. I mean, we about to see a win.
I don't know what's going on. It's a lot of shit going on. Let's watch a little bit of this. I got a few videos.
After resigning his leadership in the Southern Baptist Convention, a leaked letter alleging raw racist sentiment was one of many damning reasons he walked away. And here he is speaking to Michelle Martin.
Pastor Russell Moore, thank you so much for talking with us.
No, thanks for having me, Michelle.
Obviously, many people are familiar with your work, but for those who are not, I mean, you have been one of the most high-profile evangelical leaders in the country for many years now. For some people, you probably are the face of the evangelical movement. When did it start to go wrong for you? When did things internally start to change? When did you start to notice some sort of friction there?
Well, I don't think that things went wrong. I think in some ways things went very right in that I came to see new ways to equip Christians and God doing a new thing. And frankly, within the Southern Baptist Convention, the people in the Southern Baptist Convention were overwhelmingly not just supportive, but
over racism,
beyond supportive and loving and affirming. My board,
I know he was making a bunch of money.
Well, I think that what I was starting to see was the same thing that
happened
virtually, I mean, almost every pastor I'm talking to right now is seeing, which is a congregation where the vast majority of people really want to love each other, really want to follow Christ. And sometimes there's a very small group within that congregation that doesn't want to. And that creates a different kind of temperature in the room. And so what a pastor has to decide is, do I continue working toward change in this congregation, which is usually the way to go, or in other ways to say, maybe I should be doing something different.
So why did you resign?
Because I started to see God doing something new in terms of putting people together from multiple denominations who have the same concern. So I was having conversation every single day with Anglicans and Presbyterians and non-denominational people and others who were saying, it seems to me that we have a moment where we need to put the gospel first and we need to put the kingdom first, and we need each other to do that. And so Christianity Today, being the way that the evangelical movement essentially launched in the post-war era, I think we have a very similar moment right now.
So you're focusing very much on what you're
going
going
resign,
toward,
though.
what you're leaving.
She's gonna
Perfectly understandable. But I
watch
have
a little
to
bit
say,
more.
your resignation letter landed like a rocket. It was leaked. I don't know who leaked it. I know that we've all not denied that it is your words. It's blistering. It's absolutely blistering. You say that the presenting issue, you said, is not the former president. You say the presenting issue was the way the denomination itself or the leadership was dealing with sexual abuse, thing one. But you also say that you and your family face constant threats from white nationalists and white supremacists, including within the convention. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. Yes. Well, that wasn't a resignation letter. It was a letter that I had written to my board members. Just they prayed with me, and I was helping them to see some of the things that were going on. Yes. I mean, I think that there are very real issues within the church in almost every denomination or communion or setting right now when it comes to these issues of racial justice and reconciliation and sexual abuse. I mean, I'm finding this as recently as just right before this interview, talking to a pastor who's combating this within the congregation. And it can be exhausting. It can be demoralizing. But it also means that there's an opportunity for the people of God to do what's right.
I hear you, but it is disturbing. I mean, when did you start to see these things? I mean, has this been kind of a little hum all along, like sort of like a pilot light in your furnace that is always there? Or was this something that you became newly aware of because of the prominence of your position?
Well, I think that issues of racial justice particularly have always been disturbing to me. It was one of the reasons why I went through a spiritual crisis as a 15-year-old when I was looking at Bible Belt Christianity and seeing a lot of very blatant racism and wondering, how can these two things go together? I mean, one cannot read the Bible and see the actions of Jesus and seeing the sort of church that Jesus puts together and come to this kind of conclusion that racism is anything other than morally wrong. And so that's been a concern for me for all of my life. I think there are many people who are rattled by some of the things that we're seeing in terms of sexual abuse and the treatment of sexual abuse survivors and cover-ups taking place, again, not just in one setting and not just even within a church setting, but within multiple settings in the United States right now. But the church is called to better. And so we ought to be the place that is the toughest on sexual abuse and the place that is the most caring for survivors and victims of sexual abuse. I think that is something we must do better. I remember having a conversation with a group of evangelical women a couple of years ago, and one of the women there said, it seems to me that when you're seeing some of these revelations that are taking place with some high-profile scandals, some high-profile cover-ups, it seems that you're rattled by that. And we want you to know that none of us are surprised by this. And the entire room full of women were nodding their heads. And that was really a key moment for me in seeing just how deep some of these problems go.
You said earlier that this is a minority of people within the convention, within the denomination, within the universe. And that, sort of makes sense. I mean, Southern Baptists, at least to the current moment, have been the largest Protestant denomination. So we're talking about, millions of people. On the other hand, the areas in which you have constantly faced criticism within your movement have been when you've surfaced these issues. I mean, when you have publicly called for more diversity in the leadership of the convention, you were criticized for that. When you have showcased women who have wanted to speak about their experiences with
He's gonna say something important, then I'm gonna cut it off.
In fact, you say in your letter,
because about the women, he's gonna say something that I think people need to hear.
I've been attacked with the most vicious guerrilla tactics on such matters and have been told to be quiet about this by others. You said that, you've heard just the most vicious racist comments like behind the scenes. So if that's the case, then how can you say, I mean, forgive me, that it's not somehow defining or pervasive within the movement? You see what I say? How can both of those things be true?
Well, I think both of those things can be true because if you look at what the denomination as a whole would do when they would come together in their annual meetings, they would not be in any way in the direction that you just mentioned. As a matter of fact, I was often surprised at just how strong the Southern Baptist Convention would end up being in their June meetings in terms of support for racial reconciliation and justice and standing up for sexual abuse survivors. That wasn't the problem. The problem was what was happening between meetings. And I found that that's the case in a number of institutions right now.
He's gonna say
Where sometimes the people who are the most obsessed with the politics, the internal politics, tend to be the least healthy people, and vice versa.
What role do you think race plays in this? I mean, is it possible that race has become more important than the gospel? Is it possible?
In some sectors, I think it certainly has. And if this is not new, though. If you look back at the New Testament, you're going to find so much of it has to do with this very question, whether or not people are going to idolize the flesh and exercise dominion over one another, or whether or not people are going to be part of one body and one fellowship. This is a repeated issue in the New Testament, and it's been a repeated issue throughout history. So if you notice, even what we tend to think of as the contemporary evangelical movement happened in the 1940s and 50s with a diverging of those who wanted to be separatist fundamentalists and those who wanted to be gospel-focused, gospel-centered evangelicals. So they were, in many cases, they agreed on all the fundamentals of the faith, but they disagreed very much about the ways that culture can shift and can take any religion captive. I mean, that's really the issue.
You can't help but notice that, say, white evangelicals were among the former president's strongest constituencies.
That's what I was saying.
Among
For the
most
longest,
hesitant.
they're the
right
ones who
now
put him in
to
office.
embrace public health measures to contain the coronavirus. And it's also
And even
more
as he-
noteworthy because these are folks
his
who
support
espouse an ethic of being
dropped under other groups.
protecting the
They
sanctity
stayed
of life.
strong.
And yet they
The
have proven to
evangelicals
be among the
stayed
most unwilling
even to now.
to take measures to protect the sanctity of some lives, of vulnerable lives. And why is that? Why is that?
I don't know. I think we're
I know.
in a
Pause the video,
moment of a
'cause I know
kind
why
of
that is.
crisis of credibility.
The reason that is because wherever, okay, so like you know how like it's easy. I'm not even going to try to give you a complicated answer. A lot of people confuse God and spirituality with being agreed with. And if somebody builds a big enough church and invites enough people under the doctrine that they're right, God will never enter that building. But those people will keep going there to be told by a pastor that they're right. The evangelicals, the ones she's talking about, are and have always been a corruption of the gospel of Christ. Period. I mean,
I
like
don't know
I
if
don't.
everybody would agree with you on
I
that.
don't even care. I don't even care. I mean, that's something I assert that. I assert that as a that's my hypothesis on what's wrong with the church. Because even in the churches that I went to, I felt like my pastor was a good pastor. I felt like the congregation was by and large a good congregation, but I always, you understand me, always encountered people that were more concerned with how they were seen in the church than how congruent they were with the word of God. And when you have a church that's saying everything's okay as long as you do this, and nobody in the congregation is checking that rubric of behavior against the Bible itself, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. If you're a churchgoer, you tell me. How many people go to your church that know that Bible like the pastor does? Because there's no excuse for the pastor knowing the Bible better than you do. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to know that book. He guides you through what you've read, but you're supposed to read it. You're supposed to know what's in there. If you go there for him to tell you what's in there, you wrong. Now what? And that's what he's saying about them. Because, I mean, like Joel Osteen, he hasn't had a huge scandal since the hurricane. But the truth is, He spits a couple of Bible verses, and then he comes back and tells you that God's going to give you a new house. No, God's going to give you comfort in your deathbed. Accordance with Jesus's teachings allows you to lay down and die one day with a clear conscience. That's heaven. You meet your end, however you meet your end, and because you have followed the law, you understand that there's nothing else you could have done, and you go with peace to the next place. Death is that big. It's bigger than everybody. Even Hitler knew he was wrong when he put that gun to his head. Or, if you believe what some conspiracy theorists say, if he escaped to Argentina, he laid down on his deathbed and was racked with all of the wrong things that he did. When you can't die comfortably at peace with yourself, that's hell. When you die knowing you did everything that you could, that's heaven. So everybody that's buying they little old, homestead way out away from the black folks right now, and maybe they got a decent salary, maybe they're cruising through that mortgage. When their kids come back and don't know how to get through their life, and they done caught cancer or they got heart disease because they eating too much of this, too much of that. When they're in the hospital, worrying about what's going to happen when they die, that's the product of them not doing the right thing. I put it to you like this. My grandfather, he was a simple man. And me, I thought I was smart. I mean, I didn't think I was going to have to work because I was so damn smart. I was going to get a degree and get a cool ass job and be rich. But what happened instead was I ended up in my mid-30s realizing the only way out of where I was at was to just get my ass up every day, go to work and pay my bills. And maybe after wrestling with it consistently, I would get ahead. My grandfather knew this always, and the only lessons he ever really taught me, he was able to teach me from his grave because they were simple. Get up, go to work, pay your bills, something gonna happen. And when it happens, you'll be ready because you don't owe nobody shit. Evangelicals, they ask God to get them cars. They ask God to keep the black folks out their neighborhood. And their pastor tell them whatever they ask God for, they're going to get. So why are their churches in trouble? Why are they always, why are they the strongest constituents for these whack-ass presidents? Whack-ass government officials? Is because those government officials are telling them the same thing their pastor is telling them. And they're like, holy crap, this is the word of God. I mean, but in a much lesser degree, in our own community, that happens in our churches. Because you got one pastor that'll break down the Bible to you. Like I had I'm going to go ahead and put him out there. Greater Truvine, I don't know if the man is alive. If he's not, Lord rest his soul. But it's been long enough. It's been 20-something years, and he was a pretty old man last time I was there. I was baptized there, Greater Truvine, over off Homestead. I asked that man because I was still wrestling with it. I didn't have as strong a faith as I have right now. I asked him straight up. I said, man, what if Jesus didn't believe in God? He said, young man, come here. This pastor invited me into his office. He said, look, these books are not the Bible. I've read them as well. And to teach the truth, you have to know the assailants of the truth. There were books in there that I never expected this man to have read. Straight up. But he taught the Bible, and he knew what people who didn't want you to know the Bible were going to say. He shielded his congregation the best he could from the assaults on the truth. He did it on purpose. So he didn't really answer my question, but he removed my curiosity of that question. Because I understood that there are people out there that want to teach the truth, and they want people to know it so bad that they're already trying to get in front of people who are going to lie about it. It doesn't matter if Jesus believed in God. There was a Jesus and there's a God. Those two things come together. And honestly, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe. But I'm going to tell you, if you follow Christ's law, it doesn't matter if there's a God. World gets better anyway. So don't worry about the faith part. Just understand that you're a human being and other human beings have value, and treat them like they have value. You're going to be fine. And when you get called up and you're like, whoa, it's real, he'll understand. Period.
Heavy stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to decide.
They got that way, didn't
it? yeah. I'm trying to
Education for all.
Hold on.
But as with many institutions of our day, the textbook picture of how the institution
I want
should
to
work,
talk
state,
about this a
city
little
of this
bit.
earth, ever after.
Check it out. I think I'm just going to play a bit of this.
Resist much, obey little. Once unquestioning obedience, once fully enslaved. Once fully enslaved, no nation, state, city of this earth ever afterward resumes its liberty. These were the words of caution which the great poet Walter Whitman offered to his fellow Americans. For Whitman recognized that crucial to a free and flourishing society are men and women who are willing to question and even resist authority when necessary. But today, very few of us live by the ideal espoused by Whitman. Rather, blind obedience is the norm. We have become populations of sheep, easily to be herded into the chains of tyranny. But what has led those of us in the West to largely shun the advice of Whitman? In this video, we will examine two institutions that have played an integral role in the breeding of a passive citizenry: the compulsory state-run education system, which in North America is called the public school system, and the mainstream media. Public schooling is viewed as one of the shining lights of the modern Western world. Who could question the value of an institution that provides free and compulsory education for all? But as with many institutions of our day, the textbook picture of how the institution should work greatly diverges from the reality of how it does work. If public schools taught individuals how to think, if they promoted intellectual curiosity and produced citizens healthy in body and mind, then few would question their value. But beneath the veneer presented by the bureaucrats that run this institution, a darker reality emerges. Or as John Taylor Gatto, a former teacher turned one of public schooling's greatest critics, writes, "Schools are intended to produce formulaic human beings whose behavior can be predicted and controlled. To a very great extent, schools succeed in doing this, but in a national order in which the only successful people are independent, self-reliant, confident, and individualistic, the products of schooling are irrelevant. Well-schooled people are irrelevant. They can sell film and razor blades, push paper and talk on telephones, or sit mindlessly before a flickering computer terminal. But as human beings, they are useless to others and useless to themselves." Noam Chomsky echoed this sentiment, writing in his book, Understanding Power, "Given the external power structure of the society in which they function, the institutional role of the schools, for the most part, is just to train people for obedience and conformity, and to make them controllable and indoctrinated." To some, this may sound like heresy, but a study of history reveals that this was the intention from the very start. The state-run school systems in the West were modeled off the factory style of education first introduced in Prussia in the early 1700s. "What shocks," writes Gatto, "is that we should so eagerly have adopted one of the very worst aspects of Prussian culture, an educational system deliberately designed to produce mediocre intellects, to hamstring the inner life, to deny students appreciable leadership skills, and to ensure docile and incomplete citizens. all in order to render the populace manageable. Albert Einstein, an individual who reached heights of genius rarely seen, did not credit his compulsory schooling with his intellectual development. Reflecting back on his school years, Einstein noted that after completing his final examinations, his interest in the field he would go on to revolutionize was all but dead. I found the consideration of scientific problems, he wrote, distasteful to me for an entire year. Einstein believed that one of the major flaws of compulsory state-run education systems is their forced style of teaching. It is, in fact, nothing short of a miracle, he wrote, that the modern methods of instruction have not yet entirely strangled the holy curiosity of inquiry. It is a very grave mistake to think that the enjoyment of seeing and searching can be promoted by means of coercion and a sense of duty. After well over a decade of indoctrination in the school system, few emerge with a great thirst for knowledge and a curiosity toward the many mysteries of the world. Instead, as Bruce Levine writes in his book, Resisting Illegitimate Authority, by the time a student graduates, they have been bred to be passive, to be directed by others, to take seriously the rewards and punishments of authority, to pretend to care about things that they do not care about, and that one is impotent to change one's dissatisfying situation. But if our schooling cannot be relied upon to generate the critical and curious minds needed to protect a society from the actions of corrupted authorities, can the mainstream media play this role? While there has been an increasing skepticism toward this institution in recent years, distaste and distrust toward the mainstream media has a long history. I have given up newspapers, wrote Thomas Jefferson, in exchange for Tacitus and Thucydides, for Newton and Euclid, and I find myself much the happier. Nietzsche, one of the most intellectually free and curious minds of history, was also no fan of the mainstream media. Sick are they always. They vomit their bile and call it a newspaper. Richard Weaver, a professor at the University of Chicago in the first half of the 20th century, found it ironic that while we have freed ourselves from the earth-centered view of the cosmos, we have all the while dove headlong into an illusory view of the world created by the mainstream media. And while Weaver focuses on newspapers in the following passage as they were the dominant medium of his day, his words are even more applicable today, where modern technology offers far better tools for the manipulation of the masses. A great point is sometimes made of the fact that modern man no longer sees above his head a revolving dome with fixed stars. True enough, but he sees something similar when he looks at his daily newspaper. The newspaper is a man-made cosmos of the world of events around us at the time. For the average reader, it is a construct with a set of significances which he no more thinks of examining.
Pause video?
Yeah, what you think about it?
That's for next time. I could go on and on. I could give you a straight 40 minutes on that. That's for next time.
Well, what you got? What you got? Tell them something about it. What you think?
Conformity and control? Mindfulness over mindlessness. I mean, and honestly, that's the one thing, that's the reason I feel qualified to sit here and talk to y'all for like an hour and a half, because the crap he's talking about right now, never, ever. I got 3 spankings in kindergarten. I was in D Hall all the time because you would tell me something, I would ask a question pertinent to it. They would be like, just listen to it. And
I got in trouble a lot.
This is the part that's on the test. Just worry about this.
A lot.
Hold on. We just talked about the stars. I'm asking about Stardust. You don't want to tell me about Stardust. Wait a minute. Hold on. If this happened, if these people were willing, hold on. Wait. Whoa. You mean they just came and killed all the Indians and they're cool with living on reservations? Huh? Wait. Slaves? Oh, hold on. You mean like the Jews in Egypt? Whoa, you mean my grandma was one of those in this country? Hold on. We got to talk about that.
Yes.
I've always been that kid. I've always been that adult. How did I get to be 43 years old with very little to my name?
Learning shit.
I've been thinking, and they hate that. I mean, like, yeah, I could have just put my head down and went to work, yada, yada, whatever. But they wouldn't let me do that and pay me a bunch of money. I mean, like, hold on. There's a video. Hey, before we go, there's a video. You can Google it. I don't know the source right now, but there's a video, and the title is "Your Job is Probably Useless." And I don't think they're talking about a lot of our audience right now. They're talking about a lot of the people that y'all wish that y'all were. The people in the office making 125K. Watch that video.
Yeah.
Because most of those people are useless.
Yep.
They are part of the package.
A lot of people
that
don't
is
understand
delivered.
that.
They're part of the package that's delivered to the people that they like.
And it's like created positions that don't even need to be there. Like, it's so crazy.
But I really do gotta run. Gotta bounce. Like that.
All right, bro. I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you coming, man.
No, we can do this again.
Almost 2 hours. Yeah,
no, we can do this again, and we need to like bookmark that video because that's exactly the conformity.
The one that I played.
Video.
I'll remember it.
We could go for. We could
I
go
watched
for days
that
on
whole
that.
thing already, and like I said, it's a lot of stuff. All I do is watch YouTube, so I got told.
Because think about it. Even if you think you're a rebel, you're conforming to that rebellion. And that rebellion was started by somebody that don't care about you either. How you pay your mortgage or how you get a mortgage and what you're going to do with your children. It's the only thing that matters. Everything else is bullshit. I promise.
Like I say, man, I appreciate your time, bro.
Hell yeah.
And I'm sure this is going to be... And disclaimer, bro, I meant to say at the beginning, this dude be saying stuff I don't even understand. So like I know I be saying stuff people don't understand. He say stuff I don't understand. So like I was talking about reading a lot of books. It's somebody who read a lot of books. The math shit, I'm like you're like the opposite on me with that because like math gives me a hard time. Like I understand the concepts, but you really like get it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, it's I really stopped just short of saying that it's all numbers, but there's numbers under everything that's important because it's the only way that they've been able to keep score lately. They have the money, they have the values of things, they've strapped everything to the dollar. And honestly, I mean, like that's the greatest evil on the planet right now is that you can put a value to it, and once you put a value to it, you can make somebody work for it. I mean, there's no reason that the most special like
debt slavery.
There's a very good chance that there is no life anywhere else on the universe. There's also, depending on what you believe, the fact that you only get one of these, and they are able to make you give them an hour for $15 fucking.
That's crazy. Lunacy.
When you total that up over a lifetime, a lot of people make less than they make way less than $1 million over their lifetime. Are you telling me a life is worth $1 million? So I don't know, man. I don't even know.
Appreciate you coming, bro.
Yeah.
All right, peace out, y'all.
The kids would be good. I'm gonna see you again soon because we definitely finishing that.